Hey everyone, Brandon here with Shepherd Tactical Supply. Today, what are we doing? Well, we're installing some of their newest parts that have hit the market. Most notably, their short stroke trigger for the Bodyguard series pistols. Notice this fancy FDE tan one. Alright, well, what are we going to be using? We're going to be using the prototype bench block that they're working on for different pistols. This will be made out of Delrin, working on some stuff. We were just kind of playing around with it, but I think it's going to be a great idea. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. So we're going to be using the Shepherd Tactical Supply trigger install kit. What comes in this kit is the 050 Allen wrench, the VC3, which if you're using the VC3, we're going to go ahead and open that up and use it. It also comes with an 050 and a 3/32 Allen wrench and a couple extra set screws for the different triggers that they make. Also, we're going to be using the Shepherd Tactical Supply 3/32 punch. Correction, 1/16. I can't read that small. Anyhow, 050 and a 1/16. Some of the screws that are going to be coming in there, this trigger and future triggers. If we're using VC3, we're going to go ahead and rip that on open before we even get to the pistol. And take just a knife. We'll be using our fancy Asheville steel one. I like to just kind of cut a corner off. Alright, woo! Got excited. Clean up our little mess there. Alright, now that we got our VC3 out, make sure whatever blade you used, wipe it off of there. It won't hurt anything. You can actually peel this stuff off, see how it is on there. Originally, this was designed for marine use, as in boats, boat motors and such. Really great for firearm stuff. Anti-vibration, really hard to get it to come out. So we're going to take our 050. We're going to remove our over-travel screw. The pre-travel on these is already built in, so you ain't got to worry about messing with the pre-travel any. This one's real tight because it's Cerakoted. May not even need the VC3. We'll go back out the other way. There we go. Alright, we're going to go ahead and use VC3 anyway. I was kidding. You're not going to not put Loctite on here. And I'll tell you why. If you don't put Loctite on, of some sort, you're going to be shooting, and the vibration is going to make that come out, and you're either going to end up with a dead trigger because it's going to bottom out at the back, or it's just not going to have an over-travel stop. So what you want to do, we're going to go ahead and put a little bit on the threads, and you're going to let this sit for about 10 to 15 minutes is the cure time. So we're going to talk about a couple things on the inside of the Bodyguard while we let this cure. So if you are using the VC3, it's about what you'll need. So we'll just set that there and dry. Now, when you go to pull your Bodyguard apart, one of the easiest ways to get the takedown out is we're going to rack it to the rear, push up on the slide lock, sweep that all the way forward. You'll heard that click, that little click. That does. So that kicks the takedown forward enough for us to go ahead and take out. You can go ahead and remove the slide. The difference between this kit and some other kits on the market is this is going to end up being a piecemeal kit. Right now the trigger is available, but you don't have to have a hammer and springs and everything else. If you only want one part, that's a great thing about Shepherd Tactical. You'll be able to get one part a la carte. Anyhow, so you go to pull the slide off. We'll talk a little bit about the slide because a lot of you out there are probably new gun owners. So here, that's your blocker. That's where your firing pin is. It's your guide rod, recoil spring, barrel. Field strip is literally what we just showed with the takedown. Take that out, take the barrel out. You have field stripped your slide. Okay? So you'll clean, if you're cleaning your pistol, this is where you'll concentrate on gun oil. Not 3-in-1 oil, not motor oil, gun oil. You don't need frog lube and some of these other lubes that are out there that are paste and whatnot. This is a modern polymer firearm. All you're going to do is gunk it up with that stuff. Alright, so that's how your slide comes apart, goes back together. Now, we're going to move our little science experiment there. We're going to line up. Now you notice, one of the things that we were toying with, I've kind of got it drawn off. Eventually what we'll have is set up to work a couple different pistols for parts that they're going to be selling. That way you just stick your pistol on, and then when you're ready to work on the pistol and you need the frame to stand up, that little handy dandy thing right there, different shape size pistols, boom, it's going to hold it up for you instead of having to worry about your bench block trying to roll away from you. Alright, The great thing too is these holes are drilled exact distance apart so that when you take your 3/32 and line everything up, everything's nice and lined up, pistol's not going running everywhere. So we're gonna take our 3/32, finish driving them out using the brass side of our hammer. And when you go to pull the chassis out of the Bodyguard, that's old habit right there. You don't really need to do that. You can literally leave the pins right there. They're sunk enough that you ain't gonna lose them, and then when you're ready, boom, there they are. When you go to pull this out, remember you want to keep your thumb and forefinger over the front of the chassis. Why? Well, this side, that little spring right there for the takedown has a tendency to fly about 8 feet wherever, and you'll never find it again. This side is just the trigger bar, but this spring will come up and just way steer your finger. It doesn't feel very good. Alright, so now what we're ready to do is flip over our chassis, take that 3/32, and you're going to push out the trigger pivot. If it's stuck and you can't get it out by pushing it, give it a little tap, come right on out. Now, our VC3 is just about cured, so we're going to go ahead. Now remember I said let it sit 10 to 15 minutes, so if it's not cured yet, don't put it in. This is for demonstration purposes only. And go ahead and put our set screw back in the trigger. These Cerakoted ones that are going to be up on eBay and the website are a limited edition too. Most of these are going to be anodized. Shepherd Tactical Supply gives you the option of having custom Cerakote done or getting them raw aluminum. You'll be able to finish them yourself, which is a really cool thing. Just for the simple fact, not enough people are doing that in the industry. It's a great thing. Me and my twirling way too hard on this 050. You're not going to have these problems. I'm rough on things. Alright, so our trigger is together. We're ready to reassemble everything. So we're going to take our chassis, insert the trigger, take your pivot, put your trigger pivot in. Now your hammer pivot may fall out because it shouldn't be super tight when everything just moving around. If it does, just literally slide it back in like I just did. Take your trigger return spring. When you orientate it, if you look down inside there, you're not going to be able to pick it up on the camera, but there's a slot that runs 90 degrees up and down. You've got this piece that's going to go right in there. You'll feel it, and that's how your trigger return spring should sit when it is correctly installed in the pivot. Trigger, pivot, trigger bar. You want to make sure when you get the trigger bar in, you take your hammer strut, move it around. You'll see how it touches on the trigger bar. So that's what we want. Go ahead and swing that spring back and set it. Take down spring, compress it into its hole. Well, slot more than a hole. We've got everything there. We're going to grab it with our thumb and forefinger. We're going to take our safety. We're going to place our safety on. We're going to set our bench block up. I didn't remove the hammer spring, mostly because you really don't need to, but this is what it's going to look like. Okay, that's your stock hammer spring. Another thing they're working on, rather than try and change rates, is they're going to have some of these handy little washers that are different thicknesses, so you can change. It will increase the pull weight, but it's also going to in turn increase how hard the hammer's hitting primers, because we all know the Bodyguard has issues with misfires and light strikes straight from the factory. So that's what your hammer spring looks like. You're going to take it, stick it down in there. It's got a nice little cavity it sits in. You can take your frame, set it right there in your bench block, come in from the top, lay it all down in there. One of the things that may happen, sometimes the hammer spring will want to pop like that. Just take your 3/32, push it back into where it goes, compress the whole chassis. Now because of the pre-travel stop being built in, you may notice you go to set it down and you're like, hey, that doesn't sit all the way right. While you're holding the chassis in place, just pull the trigger to the rear a little bit and finish seating the chassis. Over travel stop will go where it should. Take your bench block, lay it flat. There we go. Sometimes it can be a little difficult putting it back together because you're having to compress that hammer spring while hammering at the same time, no pun intended. So, we got the back one in, and get the front one in. And take our 3/32 and drive the pin flush to both sides. You want it flush on both sides because when you go to shoot this thing, if that pin's sticking out one side or the other, it's not going to be very comfortable. We're going to put our slide on, take down. Now, we're going to function check before we make any over travel adjustments. And go ahead and place safety on. Nothing should happen. Take the safety off, trigger to the rear, rack the slide, release. 1, 2. This is a double action only pistol. You need to have both resets. If you do not have both resets, email info@shepherdtacticalsupply.com and we'll get you squared away. Alright, so 1, 2. 2 resets. Now we're ready to set our over travel. We're going to take our 050. We're going to turn it clockwise. I usually, like when it comes to things with over travel screws, I like to make about 7 or 8 turns. Alright, so that's what we want. We don't want the hammer falling. It's caught right there. Now we're going to go 1/4 turn counterclockwise and check. Guys, I don't care what the person at Cabela's, Sportsman's, wherever you get your gun, do not dry fire a bunch. It's fine for video, it's fine for testing, but if you're going to go out and dry fire, because of the way the firing pin in these, it has a center pin that runs through it, they're very prone to breakage and it locks the whole gun up. And you'll have people tell you, oh, I dry fire this 300 times a day. Yeah, you broke it. Don't care what any website says. Take it from someone who works on guns for a living. Do not dry fire your pistol without a snap cap. It will make it last a lot longer. Any of you into archery know what I'm talking about. That's why you never dry fire a bow or crossbow. Why? Where's all that energy go? Aha, there we go. We got hammerful. Well, to answer your question, we're going to go 1 more 1/4 turn and then we're done. It's set. And we're ready to go test. To answer your question about archery, all that energy goes into the limbs. Well, same principle in a gun. Where's all that energy going to go? Right to the firing pin, slamming into the breech face with nothing soft to hit and kick back like it should. But anyhow, I digress. There you go, guys. So here we are, set up with the Shepherd Tactical short stroke for the Bodyguard 380 series of pistols. Nice. Helps smooth out quite a bit. You don't have that flimsy plastic trigger in there anymore. Pre-travel stop lets the trigger sit nice and straight where it should, straight from the factory, instead of that kicking forward. And you get a nice smooth pull all the way through while taking out a majority of the slop in the trigger without having to deal with a whole bunch of other stuff. So like I said, this is one of the first products from Shepherd Tactical Supply. I myself am quite impressed. I expect to see more stuff from them in the future. You'll be able to get their parts kits online from shepherdtacticalsupply.com and their eBay stores. And that's going to wrap it up, guys. You got any questions, feel free to email info@shepherdtacticalsupply.com. And everybody have a great day.